This video will give you a quick introduction to SAS On Demand for Academics. To access SAS ODA, you'll need to open your web browser. Any current web browser will do, but I recommend Firefox or Chrome. So when you come to the login screen, once you enter your login, it'll come to this, your dashboard. The applications to which you have access are listed here under Applications. We really only need the one. Go ahead and click on SAS Studio. Some of this information down below we'll discuss in the future. Now, when you first log in, the window is divided into these two sections, right? So the files that you're working with are on the right side, and by default it'll open up either what you had open last time, or it'll give you a blank program window like it has here. And on the left side of the screen, over here, you've got the navigation area. The Explorer is what it's called in the desktop version. Now, in this window, your files are gathered in these directories here, and as you can see, I've created directories for every project that I've worked on. Working folder is there by default, and that's where my programs tend to dump the output or the files that it creates. So you can see I've got a lot of things in there that are output from programs I've written. I really should probably clean that up, but yours is nice and empty at the moment. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is, if I right-click on the files, the SAS Studio intercepts the mouse clicks to insert its own menus, so you don't get the right-click menu that you would get if you clicked on any other web page in Firefox. You get the SAS Studio right-click menu. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and I'll call this Ed5 7510 SAS Orientation. All right, so there I've created my new folder. Now, these folders live on the SAS server, and you can only work with files that have been uploaded to the server. So in a future video, I'll show you how to upload files that you have locally and import them into SAS. But from here, we're just going to work with a blank program file. There's two main kinds of statements that we can use in SAS. There's data statements, or data steps as they're referred to. And inside a data step, it creates, modifies data sets. It does not do any statistical procedures, but there's a lot of power within a data step to sort of manipulate your data. And you'll notice that as you type in keywords that SAS recognizes, you get this context-sensitive help that pops up. So we'll explore some of the help files in a little bit. And then there's procedure statements, which you can actually type out procedure if you like, but most of the time we just use the four-character abbreviation proc. And so there's a whole list of procedure names in SAS that you can use to analyze your data, and we'll go through some of that in a moment. But what we need to do is we need to get some data into SAS. Now, I actually can type the data that I want to use directly into the program window, but that's a bit of a pain, and it tends to be more prone to errors. So we're going to import data sources from other programs. Now, most of the time you'll be able to enter your data into Excel and import that. If it's things that we do for class, then I can give you an SPSS data set, and you can bring that into SAS as well. But we can only work with things that are on the server. So let's upload. I've got my SAS orientation folder selected. I'm going to click the upload button up here. And I'm going to go ahead and select, this is the Field 2018 Table 4.1 file that we created in SPSS in the previous video. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that in. And now it's uploaded. We can see that it's here in my folder. Now, under Tasks and Utilities, there's a utility to import data. We'll go ahead and double click that. Now, we need to select a file. Notice that it gives us the file structure on the SAS server, right? When we select a file here, we're not able to pull it off of our local computer. It has to have already been uploaded. So I see that my data table is here. I'll collect that, click Open. Now, I can see right now it's giving me a split view. I'm going to go ahead and click on Settings here so we can see this. Now, it's got the source file information here. I'm actually going to change the output data because by default it calls it import, and I'm going to call it field data. There we go. And the file type, by default it looks at the file extension, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it that it's an SPSS file. Now when I go to code, this is the code that's developed. So the green between these slashes and asterisks are comments. They don't get processed. And what I want to focus your attention on is this file name command, where it defines ref file as pointing to the file that we told it. And then it runs proc import. The data file is the ref file, so this points it to the field data. DBMS, that's the database style being used. It's a save file, so it's going to use the SPSS filter to interpret it, and it's going to put it out into the work library, a file called field data. Right? Now, it's also going to give us the contents of that, which just tells us about what the variables are. I'm going to add, oh right, I can't edit this. I have to copy it all. I don't need, well, yeah, I'll copy it all and put it in my program file. And I'm also going to add here proc print data equals work dot field data, semicolon, and all procedures need a run statement at the end. So I'll run that. There we go. Now this is all set. Let me save this. I'll put that in my orientation. Instead of program 1, I'll call it field data program. There we go. Saved that. And to run the program, I click this little running man. Now, if I select just part of the code and click the running man, it will run just the selected code. If I don't have any specific things collected and click it, it'll run the whole program. All right, so it automatically comes to the results, and let's take a look at this. This tells me what it did. Here it sort of goes through some of the stuff that happened on the server, and then finally it tells us these are the variables that it read in, listed alphabetically, but the variable number is also here, so remember name was the first variable. And then it also decoded the format. It brought in the labels and the formatting from the SPSS file, and here's the final table, right? So we've got our participants here, we've got their birth dates listed here, their job, etc. All the data is there exactly as we want it. Now, because I saved this in a program, I don't need to save this import window. So I can close that. But now I've got a program here that will read that data. I've got the data saved in this file, in this directory, and I have access to it later.